ever make it to the Derry Senior Gaelic football team. But I had a brother who did, as Tony outlined, and our first love was always Gaelic games. Very broad-minded about sport, loved all sports, and first and foremost was Gaelic games. And I'm very honoured that Tony is with us this evening and is supporting our campaign, along with the likes of Jarlath Burns from Armagh, former captain, and of course the great Peter Canavan from County Tyrone. People are very annoyed, I know, about the critics and the way the critics have lined up against me since the announcement that I was going to stand for the presidency of my country. And a lot of the critics are in the media, and of course the media have their own agenda and they have their own preferences, and many of the media are undoubtedly part of the establishment. So it really shouldn't come as any surprise, and it didn't come as any surprise to me, although I am witnessing a lot of people who are very annoyed and angry about what happened, and not least in the north, where an awful lot of people don't understand it. But the media's not all like that. I done an interview in Wexford a few days ago when the man interviewing me said, well, you know, we've heard enough about all of that. Tell us about yourself. And, well, I told him I was born in Derry City in 1950 to a Donegal woman who came into Derry to work in the shirt factories in the 1940s. And coming into Derry, she had to have an identification card, which she had to present to the RUC to gain admission to the 6th County State. And when she was working in the shirt factory, she met my father, and my father was a foundry worker, a hard worker, good, decent, quiet man. Both of them were hugely religious. They went to Mass and Communion every day of their lives. We said the Rosary at night. And they had 7 children, 6 boys and 1 girl. And I was sandwiched between 2 famous sports people. One was Tom. Tom did go on to play for Derry and won 3 Ulster Championship medals. He actually did win an All-Ireland medal under 21 whenever Derry beat Offaly in the 1968 All-Ireland final. And he played 2 All-Ireland semi-finals, and he played against Donny and many other legends, and also played against Dublin in an All-Ireland semi-final. The other brother was Paul. He was a year younger, and he had a row with a Christian brother who tried to tell him that he should only play Gaelic football, and he was as good a Gaelic footballer as Tom, and it was Derry's huge loss, but he would only play soccer for Derry City and Finn Harps. And towards the end of his career was selected for a League of Ireland select team that went down to Argentina the year before Argentina won the World Cup. And a 17-year-old Diego Maradona was brought on at half-time, and Paul played against him. And Daniel Passarella was the captain of that team, and Paul has his jersey in the house. So I don't have any All-Ireland medals, and I don't have any Argentinian jerseys. They were much more famous than I was, but we were conscious that we grew up in a city that was overwhelmingly nationalist and indeed Catholic, but was controlled by the Unionists. And the history of the North shows that, for example, in 50 years of Unionist rule, from Ireland was partitioned through to Stormont was dismantled after Bloody Sunday. The nationalist representatives at Parliament buildings could only get one piece of legislation passed, and that was the Wild Birds Act. So there was more respect for wild birds than there was for the nationalists or the Catholics of Derry City, who didn't have one person, one vote, who lived in appalling housing conditions, didn't have jobs, and to raise your head above the parapet and say you were proud to be Irish was something that was frowned upon. And I suppose it was only a matter of time before the lid came off the pot. And the biggest surprise to me when it did, and it did on the Duke Street on the 5th of October 1968, whenever the people of Derry decided they would begin the march for some